let's do a quick run through of training tools, warm-up tools, things like that, that I'm using to help myself get ready and to prepare for my competition. Probably my favorite training tool for distance and for speed is this swing fan. Got it on eBay. Runs about 50 bucks. And what I really like about this this swing fan, this as a training aid, are two things. Number one, when I swing, it makes a whooshing sound, and I can hear where my club is releasing or where the fan is releasing. So I want to move that release up in front of where my impact zone is, so I'm accelerating through the impact zone. Second, the faster I swing because of the fan action, the more resistance it gives me, right using the exact muscles that I'm going to be using in the golf swing. So it's excellent golf training for strengthening the muscles and learning how to get through the swing a lot faster. Third thing that it does is when you swing this a few times, 4 or 5 times, and pick up your actual club, your club feels like a toothpick. It feels super light. And every time you do that, what you wind up doing with your real club is feeling a really big sense of acceleration up to the finish of your swing, which really translates into acceleration through the impact zone and out to the target. You never want to accelerate to the ball, you always want to accelerate to the target. Second one, and I probably should have done this first, is just a stretching pole. Now this is a really nice one. And I got this from Randy Myers, and I'll just do any number of stretches with this. Actually, all the stretches are listed right on the haft of the stretching pole itself. So I'll go through a series of stretches and just sort of make sure that I'm warmed up, doing the things that I want to do, and getting the exercises in place that I want to do for my early warm-up. So I've already done this with my stretching pole. The third one that I really like is this orange whip. Now this is something you can actually get right from my website at Target Centered Golf, but it's got a heavy ball at the very end and a very whippy shaft. This is fantastic for training tempo because it really makes me weight up at the top, and as long as I wait, I get a really nice weight shift into the front. The second thing this does is because it's weighted and because the shaft is so flexible, if I get out of rhythm, it's really easy for me to tell when and where I get out of rhythm. So if I swing a little bit too early with my hands, then the thing flips a little bit too early. If I do a bump with my hips, again, it releases in the wrong place. So if my timing is correct and I make my swing, then everything feels like it's in sequence. Now another training aid that I have is this heavy club from Momentous. Now this is 275 grams, a normal club weighs around 200 grams, so it's quite a bit heavier. It's actually built so you can hit golf balls with it. I have another one that's 375 grams, and it's really heavy. We call that the grizzly bear because it's really hard to swing. It's very difficult to overswing or to swing too fast with this club. So again, it's an excellent tempo trainer. You can actually hit golf balls with it, and it really helps you to facilitate the right sequence of events so that you're shifting the weight first, then making your pivot. That helps you to hold your lag and then release out towards the target. So the one thing that we've discovered, or that research has shown with this heavy club though, is that it actually slows your swing speed down, and I'm looking to increase my swing speed. So I actually don't use this Momentous as I'm training up for the Worlds. I'll use this off season, just basically with the thought of helping me to sequence everything correctly and then to build muscles and strength in the hands and the forearms that help me control the club just a little bit better. Now I'm going to show you another one of my training aids that helps me to determine where and when I'm hitting the golf ball in the middle of the club face. So all I have is my little Sharpie. I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to put a dot right on the back of the ball. Then when I tee this up, I'm going to put the dot directly in the back. When I make contact, it's going to transfer a little mark to the face of my club. That's going to tell me where on the club face I'm making contact. So remember, the three things that I'm trying to optimize to maximize my length are angle of approach, center contact, in other words, ball making contact in the middle of the club face, and swing speed. So a couple of these are related primarily to swing speed. This one's related primarily to center contact. I'll mark a number of balls before I get started to do my drills. Tee this up so that the mark is directly in the back. Go through my pre-shot routine. And then when I make a strike, it transfers the mark to the inside part of the face of the club. So in this case, I don't know if you'll be able to see this clearly enough, but the mark is just a little bit low and a little bit to the inside part of the club face. So I might make a little adjustment in my stance, or I might make a little adjustment with my eye position relative to the ball to see what I can do to begin making better contact in the center of the club face. So let me bring you in a little bit closer and show you what I'm doing here from an alignment standpoint. I've got two shafts set up on the ground in parallel position. I put the ball directly in the front, and what I do is I line those up exactly at the target that I want to hit over in the far distance. So in this case, I've got a cone and I've got a light posts in the far distance that I'm using for my alignment, and that'll make sure that when I'm at the ball and at address, I'm absolutely square. The second thing that I have is I have another rod set down perpendicular to my alignment, and that really helps me to determine and make sure that the ball position in my stance is in exactly the right place. If I'm having problems with my stance, I'll put a third pole down, or in this case I'm using my PVC pipe, again in parallel with the two clubs that are already on the ground, so that when I take my stance, I know that my feet are going to be square as well. The second thing I'll do as I stand up and check my target is I'll stand up and extend my arms out. That way once I come back down to the ball, checking my target, back down to the ball, I'm coming down nice and square. I'm not twisting or creating an unusual angle with my body, even if my feet are square as I come down. So all of these are just intended primarily to get me in the best position to be successful. These are things I don't want to be worrying about and thinking about on the tee, so I practice them here so they're automatic by the time I get into my competition. Good rule for you to follow as well.